9 Palestinians, including 3 journalists, were killed and several others were injured in an Israeli airstrike on a school housing displaced families in al-Shati refugee camp, western Gaza. In Uruguay, presidential and parliamentary elections are underway, with 11 candidates vowing to be the next president of the nation. Colombia's government proposed to create a world peace coalition at the conference of the parties to the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, COP16. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. Who will give the news? Stay with us. Nine Palestinians, including 3 journalists, were killed and several others were injured today in an Israeli airstrike on a schoolhouse and displaced families in al-Shati refugee camp, western Gaza. The occupying troops bombed the Azama school, which has been served as a refugee center in the face of the Israeli aggressions. The attack left several victims wounded. However, it is presumed that there are more people trapped under the rubble. Emergency crew are searching to rescue the remaining victims. This marks the second time that the school has been targeted by Israeli occupation forces, with the previous attack occurring on the 19th of this month, which also resulted in numerous casualties. In this context, the Israeli army attacked with missiles the Jabalia refugee camp, where 20 people were killed, and among the victims were women and children. This series of attacks marks the continuation of the genocide and ethnic cleansing campaign carried out by Israel against the Palestinian territory. Since October 7, 2023, the Israeli aggressions has claimed the life of at least 42,847 Palestinians and left more than 100 million wounded in the Gaza Strip. A brutal aggression by Zionist troops against the neighborhood of Beit Lahia in northern Gaza left at least 40 people dead, many of them women and children. The Zionist troops waited until nightfall to bombard a block of 5 houses where at least 3 families live. Parents tried to flee out loud with their children, but many did not manage to escape the aggressions. So far, the number of wounded reported exceeded 80. The Iranian mission to the United Nations denounced the role of the United States in the aggressions by the Israeli army on its territory. The Iranian mission of the UN also stated that Iraqi airspace is under control of the United States Army, which makes the American country an accomplice to Israel's crimes. The Iranian mission emphasized that the Islamic Republic is within the right to define its security and territorial integrity of its country. In Iran, the supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khamenei, said it was essential to make Israel understand the strength, will, and initiative of the Iranian nation. The statement was made during a meeting with the families of the former martyrs of the recent Zionist aggressions against the territory. The Iranian leader describes the attack as a miscalculation by the Israeli government and urged to demonstrate to Benjamin Netanyahu's government the Iranian people's determination. The Ayatollah said the attack should not be exaggerated nor downplayed. During a closed-door parliamentary session earlier, deputies praised the defense forces during the attack and called for a definitive and calculated response to the Tel Aviv aggressions. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian warned that his government will respond to recent Israeli aggressions. The president said Tel Aviv should know that the Iranian people will defend their sovereignty and will respond tactfully and intelligently to these attacks. The Iranian leader affirmed the Iranian response will be in proportion to the Saturday attacks and in accordance with what he describes as the aggressor's weakness and at the appropriate time and conditions. At least 6 people were killed and more than 15 injured in an attack in Tel Aviv, city of Israel. The event took place in the vicinity of the headquarters of the Mossad, the Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations of the Zionist entity. A truck rammed to a well-known Gilad bus stop where it ran over several Israeli soldiers. 5 of them died on the spot, and another one died while being transferred to a health center. Authorities report that 10 of the injured are in critical conditions. The driver of the truck was neutralized by several armed civilians who were in the area. Let's take a very first break, but remember, you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In Uruguay, presidential and parliamentary elections are underway with 11 candidates vying to be the next president of the nation. According to the electoral agency, more than 2.7 million voters are eligible to participate in the more than 7,000 voting centers set up as of 8 a.m. local time. So far, voting intentions polls have not shown any candidate with more than 50% of preference. If that tendency remains, the 2 candidates with the highest number of votes will advance to the second round to be held on November 24th. In addition to the electing of a president and renewing the parliament, voters will decide on Social Security and neither rights referendums. In this context, around 8 a.m., the former president of Uruguay, José Mujica, arrived to vote in the presidential elections in Cerro de Montevideo. After the voting, accompanied by his family's members, Mujica stated that they found that the political campaign of the candidates a little disoriented, and they were more concerned about what they are going to spend and how they are going to generate. He also assured that the challenges for the new government are security and the increase of wealth, and asserts that these issues are a national problem that no party can fix, but instead an agreement is needed. Regarding the management of the current Argentine president, Javier Milei, Mujica expressed that now there are more poor people than before in Argentina. And now let's learn more about the presidential candidates for the broad-front party, the Yamandu Orsi. Yamandu Orsi is a presidential candidate for the Frente Amplio party. He was elected intendant of the Department of Canelones for the 2 terms, the second most popular department of Uruguay. He retired with 64% of citizens' approval. He has been a member of the Broad-Front Party since his youth and in the Movement of Popular Participation, MPP. If elected, President Orsi has pledged to guarantee an inclusive economy, quality education, employment, housing policies, and universal and acceptable health, all properties of the Frente Amplio's program. His special justice policies will be based on the Artigas principle of let the most vulnerable be the most privileged. On the other hand, Álvaro Delgado is the candidate of the National Party and former secretary of the presidency and the current government of Luis Lacalle Pou. His express objectives, if he wins the presidency, is to ensure the continuity of the current ruling parties and neoliberal policies. However, he was generating controversy within his own party by choosing Valeria Ripoll as his running mate for vice president. Ripoll is a former member of the Broad Front of the Uruguay's Communist Party and ex-leader of the Association of Municipal Employees and Workers. She joined the National Party less than 2 years ago. The National Party's presidential candidate was also at the center of the debate after referring to his running mate as a hottie at a policy rally. Following harshest criticisms by different sectors, he finally acknowledged that his comments had been unfortunate. Uruguay also votes this Sunday on two plebiscites to form the constitutional one on Social Security and other on the authorization of nighttime rights, which will be submitted to a vote at the same time that the presidential and legislative elections will be held. Let's see.
En cuanto a la propuesta de reforma
The pension reform proposal seeks to amend Article 67 of the National Constitution in order to prohibit individual savings systems for retirement purposes, in addition to setting the minimum retirement age at 60 years and establishing that pensions may not be less than the national minimum
no
wage.
podrán ser menores que el salario mínimo nacional. Las modificaciones que propone esta iniciativa.
The amendments proposed by this initiative involve eliminating the administrators of pension savings funds, known as AFAPs, private agents of the mixed Social Security system in force since 1996, and granting the state the monopoly of Social Security. They also imply leaving without effect the retirement reform law of 2023, which raised the minimum retirement age to 65 years.
Que subió a 65 años de edad mínima de retiro. El proyecto de reforma
The
constitucional.
constitutional reform bill is being promoted by labor unions, various social organizations, and some sectors of the leftist Broad Front Party, the main opposition force, including the Communist Party and the Socialist
El Partido
Party.
Comunista y el Partido Socialista. El otro tema que será sometido a
The other
plebiscito
issue to be submitted to a plebiscite is insecurity, a matter of concern for Uruguayans amid an increase in violence and drug trafficking. The plebiscite on security proposed by parliamentarians of the ruling coalition seeks to enable nighttime raids on homes, currently prohibited by the Constitution, Article 11 of which guarantees the inviolability of the home and allows entry only during the day with a court
permite la
order.
entrada solo de día con orden judicial. Esta iniciativa en materia de
This
seguridad
security initiative has generated rejection among various sectors who have warned about the implications that this measure would have on the protection of citizens' rights. One of them is the Broad Front, which considers that this proposal is not the best way to solve the serious security problems facing the country, and has therefore decided not to support it.
por lo que ha sido no respaldada. La Corte Electoral de Uruguay
Uruguay's electoral court announced that polling stations will open from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., where millions of Uruguayans will elect their next president, vice president, and other public officials who will hold office for 5 years. The counting of the votes will begin at the close of polling day.
momento que cierre la jornada electoral.
In Brazil, at least 34 million citizens will participate this Sunday in the second round of the municipal elections to be held in 51 cities. According to the political experts, these elections are the evenly matched between the candidates of Lula da Silva's Workers' Party and Bolsonaro's Liberal Party. These local elections are expected to be national political implications and will serve to measure this leadership of the political parties for the 2026 general elections. This electoral process, issues such as education, health, and local infrastructure are the center of the debate. Also, public safety and the fight against corruption remain among the main concern of voters who demand improvements in the management of transparency of the public resources. On Sunday, the municipal and regional elections continue in Chile, where at least 15 million voters will elect the mayors, councilors, and governor of the country. The last Friday of the local elections in Chile begins where 46% of the electoral rolls has already voted. According to the President of Electoral Service, Andrés Tagle, out of 15.4 million voters, 7.7 million have already voted nationwide on Saturday night. The elections are being held in 2 days because of the long voting time due to the large number of positions to be elected. 345 mayors, 16 governors, 252 councillors, and 302 regional councillors. These are the first municipal and regional elections held under the new mandatory voting system reestablished in 2022, and participation close to 80% is expected. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel called for intensified efforts to overcome current difficulties. Díaz-Canel recalled that this is not the first chapter of the hardship faced by the revolution and that it has already known how to overcome them. The call came during the extraordinary plenary session of the Provisional Committee of the Communist Party in Havana. The Cuban head of state acknowledged that extremely complex moments are being experienced, and he is confident that they will be overcome. Díaz-Canel ratified his confidence in the talented Cuban people, pointing out that their participation must be promoted more. The head of state also made reference to the importance of breaking with the poor mentally and strengthening social work in the communities, especially the most vulnerable. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch on interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Subscribe on and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Move on at your break, don't go away. Welcome back. Colombia's government proposed to create a world peace coalition at the conference of the parties to the United Nations Convention on the Biological Diversity, COP16. The Colombian Foreign Minister Luis Gilberto Murillo points out in his intervention that his country defends the idea of carrying out dialogues not only with governments and states but also with the people. He also invited to create a global coalition for the peace and reconciliation with nature. For her part, the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, Susana Muhammad, stressed the importance of reconciliation and the recognition of the plurality as vital elements of vitals for the benefit of humanity. Former Bolivian President Evo Morales denounced that he was a victim of an attempted arrest while traveling through the tropic region this Sunday. The incident carried out around 7 a.m. local time when Morales was on his way to the radio interview. It was then when a bullet impact compromised the safety of those who were in the moving vehicle. The van was shot 14 times, several hit front and rear windshields. The driver was wounded in the incident. In response to these events, the president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, condemns any violent practice in politics. Through his social network, the Bolivian president said, "The experience of any violent practice in politics must be condemned and clarified. It is not with the search for the people that problems are solved, nor with besides speculations. This is why, given the denunciation by the former president Evo Morales of an alleged attempt on his life, I have ordered an immediate and thorough investigation to clarify this fact." China demands the United Nations to stop operations that undermine peace in the Taiwan Strait. The demand came after the U.S. State Department announced the sale of more than $2 billion in arms to Taiwan. The Chinese Foreign Ministry reminded Washington that the sale of arms to the Chinese island seriously violates the One China principle and the three joint communiques, specifically the one signed on August 17, 1982. Beijing has submitted a note to protest and warned Washington that it will take all necessary measures to safeguard national sovereignty. Moving on, tropical storm Trami made landfall on Sunday in central Vietnam, where authorities warned that heavy rains will cause floodings. According to the local media, the storm made landfalls in the city of Da Nang in central Vietnam around 10 a.m. local time, with winds of 88 kilometers per hour. And weather agencies expect it to move towards the southwest of the country throughout the day and with less strength. The Vietnamese civil aviation authorities state that for airports in the country, including Da Nang, will resume operations earlier than expected after being suspended for a few hours in the anticipation of the Trami's impact. In the Philippines, authorities report that at least 100 people died following the passage of tropical storm Trami throughout the country. Civil defense officials Edgar Posada warned that the death toll may increase in the coming days as rescue teams have not been able to reach the areas that were cut off by the storm. Police of Bicol, one of the most affected areas, confirmed 38 people drowned while search and rescue efforts continue. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English, I'm from the South of Marrero. Thank you for watching.